Tony, do you think Spain are being overlooked in this one? It does feel like France are the overwhelming favourites.
Look, I don't know if they're being overlooked. I mean, maybe a little bit, right? We're talking a lot about what the French team has done so far in this tournament, and I think that they are the favorite. But to say that I expect them to win this game, I think would be a little bit much. This is going to be a highly competitive game, and I think it's going to be in the margins whether Spain are able to possess the ball, create with that possession. I think there needs to be an end product every time that they have those long stints of possession, whether it's a corner kick, a free kick, a shot on target, even a goal kick is okay. What they got to stay away from is losing the ball in the middle of the field and allowing those three guys plus a few others to have transitional moments in the game.
And maybe we got carried away, right? Match one, Cabo Verde, 0-0. They don't get the result, and Spain's not Spain anymore, right? We start looking at it from that lens, and then all of a sudden you see them grow into the competition, right? And you see the possession-based football and how pretty it can be, and doing it with, even like a guy Oyarzabal up top, who maybe he's not the shiniest car in the garage, right? But getting it done with the way that they want to play their game, and I think that's really, really important. And De La Fuente's done a great job, the manager, of having this team grow into the competition. How many times do we say, well, we were waiting for Brazil, like Carlo Ancelotti, first match. He said, well, we grow into the competition. We get better and better. Well, that's what Spain has done through this competition right now. France, no doubt, they've got mega superstars sitting on the bench. And I think would be most people's favorites in this, but two completely contrasting styles, JD, of football that are going to clash in hopefully what is one of the most beautiful ways.
Mm-hmm. My favorite thing about when we get to high-level football is that we can do all the breakdown we're going to do today. We can sit here and we can talk about all the variables and how great all these individuals are. But because there's not a bad player on the pitch, anybody could turn up and have a 10 out of 10 performance, and all of a sudden you've put your nation into a World Cup final. And even looking at this graphic, just think about these 6 players and how good they've been, not only over this tournament, but obviously their career so far as well. I'm just excited. I'm excited to see how it unfolds, because I think when you get to the 1% of the 1%, which a lot of these players are the best players for their nations, and some of the best nations, of course, in world football, it's going to be one player that's really going to separate it. And I'm just excited to see who steps up, to be honest.
We're kind of going head-to-head with each player. And who would you pick from France or Spain? So why don't you get us started?
I'll give it a shot, yeah.
Starting off with the goalkeepers.
Yeah,
well, you're safe hands, so we expect this from you, Simon. We expect you to be able to know which one's the better goalkeeper.
First off, not a lot of saves between these two in the competition. 9 for Mike Maignan, 7 only for Unai Simón. So I can't really judge sort of this competition in totality, right? Because they haven't done a lot, which is a credit to the defense. Mike Maignan I watch week in and week out. I'm a Milan fan. Unai Simón I don't watch nearly as much, but I'm really impressed. Slight edge to me goes to Unai Simón. I think that the task that he's had has been a little bit more difficult, right? Because Benny and I were talking before the game. He said, well, he only makes 1 or 2 saves a game. For me, those are the difficult games, right? Yeah, he had some moments against Belgium, but you show me a goalkeeper in this competition who hasn't had moments. It's the toughest position on the field to play, Han. I'm just going to say it. That's all.
Especially now that we asked you guys to play with your feet all the time, too.
Well, that's the easy part. But
that's the easy part.
So I'm going to go Unai Simón as my goalkeeper.
Okay, Unai Simón for the goalkeeper. What about left back?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because you're splitting hairs. Look, Lucas Digne has been, I think, has been a revelation this competition. Really, really good. I don't know that I expected it from him. Marc Cucurella, a Real Madrid player, still odd to me to say Real Madrid player, but he's a Real Madrid player right now. 2 goals against Austria, a guy that gets up and down the field. Edge to me goes to Cucurella at left back position, but slight edge because I think he's been outstanding this tournament.
Yeah, like you said, it's splitting hairs. So that's left back. What about centre back, Tony?
Yeah, so I wish they would have did it the other way around, because Upamecano against Laporte, Dayot Upamecano, actually, I did it wrong on my paper. I'm happy they did it this way, because I give this one to Upamecano. I go back to the Senegal game when they were under pressure, match day 1. I was in the stadium for that one. 60 minutes, Senegal had him under pressure. He was incredible in that first. He was also the man of the match against, who was it? Paraguay. Man of the match against Paraguay. Laporte, experience. I think his balance is to balance out the youngster Cubarsí, the 19-year-old at 32 years old. He does that really, really well. I think anyone would take either of these 2 guys on their team, but Upamecano, for me, gets the edge here between these 2.
Okay. So funny, because Laporte could have played for any one of these two teams as well.
Yeah.
His nation. So yeah, he really picked. Which country did he make the right decision for? We'll find out.
All right, on to the other centre-back pairing. Is it Saliba or Cubarsí for you, Tony?
Yeah, look, I love William Saliba. I love the steadiness. I love the aggression in his game. I love all of that stuff. I love the season he had, although I'm not judging him on that, but it's hard to get it out of your mind, right? But I've been a Cubarsí fan because I've said forever, I look at goalkeepers and center backs as 10-year guys. Can we get guys to play in the national team for a 10-year period? Then you know you have a solid career. This guy's 19 years old. And to do what he does with the calmness that he does, really settled on the ball, but I still look at the defensive positioning, right? And I think that's good. He struggled a little bit. The two center backs struggled both against Portugal. So the one game maybe was a little bit off, but I'm just a big fan of Cubarsí. But if you gave me William Saliba, I'd take it. But in this case, because I got to pick one, Cubarsí.
Are you worried that with the 19-year-old, the inexperience, potentially for a one-game series, that could be a problem?
Yeah, that's why. I would say yes in general, but think about how many big games this guy's been in. Like when he was an 18-year-old breaking in at Barca, right? And think about the number of games that he's been involved in. Of course, part of that high line at Barcelona that we all talk about, which might be an issue for them. But that's how he's being asked to play, right? Here it's a little bit different.
Okay, so our final one for defence is right back. Koundé or Porro?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Pedro Porro's had a really good tournament here. A goal, against Austria, I believe it was. But I'm a Jules Koundé fan in general. I love the energy. I love how he gets up and down the field. Watching him live for me was a completely different. I've seen him twice now. Completely different experience than watching him on television. And we oftentimes get that, right? When you go to a game, it's completely different. I love the work he does. I didn't realize how vocal he was in organizing things from behind when the ball's on the opposite side of the field. I was really, really impressed with that part. But the edge for me goes to Koundé.
Okay, you have to think how strong defensively both these sides are.
Both teams.
Right. I mean, France haven't conceded a goal in the knockout round. Spain conceded one whole goal this tournament. So that's our defence picked by Tony. So we've got three Spanish players.
Split down the middle so far, kind of.
Yeah. Right, so now we're going to go into the midfield. Benny, you're going to be walking us through this one. Your first option is centre mid. Tchouaméni or Rodri?
Oh man, what are they doing to me here? These are my two starting defensive midfielders if I have the pick, but they're making me pick one or the other. Oh man, I'm gonna go. Look, I'm gonna go with my style of player, right? Because I love what Tchouaméni does, and I know he hasn't played in this in the last game, and he probably starts in this one. His athleticism, defensive awareness, his ability to drive with the ball and create space for the guys in front of him. But this guy right here, Rodri, is not only integral to everything Spain does, he's basically the catalyst to any team that he plays on, right? We've seen him at Man City, and I think he is going to be one of the most, if not the most important player on Spain in this game to make sure that the control of the game is in Spain's favor. If he's giving the ball away or players around him are giving the ball away, watch out. So I'm going to pick Rodri to kind of do everything in there in the midfield.
Buried the lead with the way I like to play. I knew where you were going with this one.
But if you had your option, you'd have both of these on the pitch.
Oh, I would love both of these guys. I think they actually complement each other very well as well, with one be able to control the possession, the other one being able to control defensively and the athleticism behind it. But I guess I'll go with Rodri since these are my only two options.
Okay, so this is the next pairing, Rabiot or Pedri. Who are you picking, Benny?
So, look, I would have picked the other two, and these guys would have been on my bench. But I guess if, again, these are the two options, I'm going to go with Pedri. And I know he didn't start last game. I'm not even certain that he starts this game. It might be Fabian Ruiz again. But I really like what Pedri does. I don't know if he's had the greatest of World Cups so far. But what he does at Barcelona week in and week out, again, the controlling of the game, you pair him with Rodri, the ability for him to be the guy that progresses the ball from that defensive midfielder position into the attack and find the wingers and the attackers. I think he is clinical with the ball. He can dribble. He can create. And so I'll take Pedri as my kind of number 8 player.
Okay, so you're taking Pedri and Rodri. Your final decision, are you taking Olise or Olmo?
This is not a decision for this is one of the easiest decisions, right? I don't even have to think about this one. Mr. Olise, please and thank you. Put him as the 10, and he'll do the rest.
Okay, so you've got two Spanish players, one French. On to our final part, the starting 11, the attack. JD, you're walking us through this one. Your first decision, Dembélé or Yamal?
It's me. Okay,
luck, JD.
so I always say this is arguably looking at, and I always love giving the people that are the current Ballon d'Or winners your flowers, but unfortunately, I love what Tony said. We've got to look at a 10-year career, and I'm still waiting for the greatness to arrive in Lamine Yamal in this big world stage, and I do think today is an opportunity for him to showcase what he can do. So if you were asking me, hand on my heart, who I would pick, I know it sounds almost blasphemous not to pick the Ballon d'Or winner, but I will go with Lamine Yamal, just because I feel like he's going to have a little bit of a more of an X factor, if you can have any more of an X factor than Dembélé. So let's go Lamine, right? And then we go to the opposite wing, and if you process the opposite wing, then it's a little bit more difficult now, because now I'm cutting between fine lines. Love what Nico Williams does, direct, wants to go inside, wants to go outside, really does inject a lot of pace into the team, but he has that little bit of a quality in terms of just a final product. I know what I'm getting with him every single time, and the consistency in terms of his decision making is why I think he's progressed so quickly in a PSG shirt and also now in a France shirt. By the way, he's also one of the most composed, I don't know, 20-year-olds that you will meet in your life. So there's something special about Desiree Doué, and I'm going to give him the nod in this one. Flowers to you each and every time, Nico Williams. And when it gets to the front line, I don't think you need much of a description, because if I'm choosing between one of the two, I love Alefaba. I think he's fantastic. I think he does all the dirty work, does all the things that doesn't get enough credit for his team, but it's Kylian.
Yeah. How could you say no?
You can't say no.
So you got two French players and then Lamine Yamal, Spanish.
This is good. This is a good mix. This really summarizes why this game is super important today, because you're now cutting between, you're cutting between fine lines. There's
I'm
nothing
surprised
there.
here. if I'm
You
being
are
honest.
surprised?
Lamine Yamal, I'm surprised. He hadn't showed up really.
Hey, look.
Yeah, that's.
Tony, you know better than to just some video of
Hey, but that's one of the most interesting things about the Spain team, right? They've been as good as they have been,
without
and their
their
star
wingers.
player hasn't done hardly anything.
And Olise at the 10, remember, he didn't even start the competition at the 10, right? He started in a right wing position. It was about, it was halftime or maybe a little bit into half when Deschamps put him in the center of the field and the game opened up. But
that game that we went to, France versus Senegal, that's where they made the adjustment, and that's when I saw
that's
them
what it
unlock.
was. Yeah, France-Senegal
It was the unlock. It was the unlock.
Right, so we've got 5 French players, 6 Spanish players. We are live on YouTube today, everybody, so you can comment down below. We will be getting to all the comments in the show, hopefully. Our first one here we've got is Rodri has not shined like before yet.
I mean, I still give him a little bit of grace because
what's his age right now?
He's probably early 30s.
Yeah, he's getting there in
31,
age.
32.
He still controls the game more up here than with his legs, but I think he is incredibly important to this team. But I don't disagree that he hasn't been the same Rodri that we've seen at Man City over the last 2-3 years, maybe prior to the injury.
Yeah, that's fair to him.
I didn't realize we picked 6 Spanish players.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We've got another comment, guys. What's Unc saying? Picking Cubarsí over Saliba, but picks Koundé, who's been washed this whole tournament.
Wow.
It's not really my vocab.
Shall I break this down to you? Because Hannah didn't really understand when they call you an Unc, it's a sign of respect, but at the same time they're saying that you older. So what are you saying, Unc?
There's someone that disagrees with your opinion. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that to be true?
What do we think about Saliba? Someone did comment as well that Saliba was the one who got to the Champions League final.
I mean, I will say respectfully, I would disagree. I would put Saliba, but a lot of it has to do with he's done it. He's done it for many years. Cubarsí's still young. In terms of confidence in a one game off, I would put Upamecano with Saliba together.
I actually think Tony made the right decision in choosing Cubarsí, because Tony's talking about the potential of him, and his ceiling is ridiculously high.
That is true.
Saliba is a fantastic player and still probably going to develop, because he's still in his mid-20s and still probably going to go a little bit further. But what I see for Cubarsí for his age is very rare. He's in very rare waters just overall as a centre-back.
Whoever called me Unc, you build your team with Porro, I'll take Koundé.
And one player who loves this matchup is Lamine Yamal. He has 3 goals in 2 games against France, with Spain winning both of those games. Here is what he had to say ahead of this game. This is the biggest and most important game of my career, no doubt. There are situations tougher than a match. I need to stay calm, I know what I'm capable of, and I don't feel the slightest bit of anxiety. So Lamine Yamal sounding very confident ahead of this game. I think we all hold Lamine Yamal up to high standards, because of course, why would we not? But he's had 1 goal this tournament. JD, do you think this is the best opportunity he has had the whole tournament to have a breakout game?
I don't know if it's the best opportunity he's had to have a breakout game, but this is definitely the biggest game of his career thus far, because you don't get any bigger games in a World Cup. And I always say that you will be judged by the opposition that you take down. So I've been, throughout this tournament, telling him in terms of these moments that you have, i.e. when, Spain play Portugal, and you want that transition moment, because no matter what you say about Cristiano Ronaldo, he's still a living legend. So going and beating the Cristiano Ronaldo team and being one of the most dominant players on the pitch is something that gives you credence to your legacy. Now, that feels kind of crazy talking about a teenager and talking about his legacy already, but that's the upper echelons of where he is, and that's what he's done in terms of the European Championships and everything else that he's done so far in terms of in both a Spain and a Barcelona shirt. But this is a great opportunity for him to take down, because everybody has been billing France as the favourites for so much in this tournament. If you can go and dominate, and I'm talking actually go and dominate, create chances, score a goal, have a prominent moment, something that makes us go, oh, you know what, Lamine was the best player on the pitch. Being the best player on the pitch with a Kylian Mbappé, a Tchouaméni, a Desiree Doué, that really does stand its own in terms of overall. I always use the example of Zidane was appreciated by the wider footballing community as a purist when you watched him. But when he went to the 98 final and did what he did, all of a sudden it was like, okay, we need to really take a step back and recognise how good he is. And everybody has those moments. So this is Lamine's moment. You need to grab it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one thing we need to look at is how much attention he draws throughout games, too, which now all of a sudden makes everything else open up, right? So the fact that his numbers don't look great, there's other things that he does on the field as well, right? And of course, if you were game planning against Spain, right, what would be one of your main priorities? How do I stop Lamine Yamal? Do I double team him? Do I double down from guys ahead of the ball? Do I use a central midfielder? Now you're changing maybe the way that you want to play, right? So I think we shouldn't just look at the numbers, but is it a game for him where he can have sort of that breakout World Cup moment? There's no doubt this is the type of day that you would do it on.
Yeah, and Benny, he's got that kind of rivalry with Mbappé, hasn't he? Not just because of La Liga, but also on the world stage as well. Do you think that will give him a bit of extra motivation today?
Yeah, I think so. And to JD's point, we talk about he's 19 years old, just turned 19, and potentially a legacy game. And it's crazy to think, but it's true, right? These players, the younger they are, they're playing, and they're playing in big-time moments. Mbappé won his first World Cup. I think he was 18.
He was.
So Lamine Yamal's already too old, right? He's a year older than Mbappe here. But look, I think that Lamine Yamal has a great opportunity to answer your original question today. Why? Because he's playing against a team that isn't going to sit back as much as every other team that he's played against in this World Cup. It should be a little bit more back and forth. There's respect by both teams. It's not going to be one team sitting back playing half-court basketball. So I do think he'll have moments to go at players. And look, not to criticize Lucas Digne or anything, but he is the weakest player on this French national team, and that's the guy that he's going up against. Mm-hmm. So it is the perfect day for Lamine Yamal to show up and seize the World Cup by storm. He is going to be a massive X factor, I think, in deciding whether Spain goes through or not.
How does Digne slow down Yamal in this one, JD?
Slow down? Oh, no. This is not Bobby Valentino. Like, he's got to really double down in what he needs. He needs to call for help. He needs to call for prayers. And in this one, I think Lucas Digne is not getting the respect he deserves, because, yes, domestically and club level, we see the inconsistencies, especially defensively. But I have never seen that while he's worn a France jersey. Like, while he's been, in terms of representing his national team, he's an embodiment of consistency. He's actually better defensively. And maybe sometimes, when they say when you play with better players, you all of a sudden upgrade your own level. I think that's what happens here. But in this matchup here, I don't doubt he will be calling for a double. There will definitely be moments where he's saying, whether it's Doué ahead of him or Dembélé ahead of him, hey, I need you in here. I need you in here. You want to be pulling your centre midfielders across, because the problem is, if you start asking for too many doubles in too many wrong situations, asking Tchouaméni to come across or Rabiot to come across, that creates space in the middle. And you don't want to create a midfield where Spain have space. That is a recipe for disaster. So that matchup will be critical, not only for the tactical while of it and obviously how France set up defensively, but most importantly, the space that it creates in other places in the pitch too.
Mm-hmm. On to the next matchup, Dembélé versus Cucurella. Benny, who do you think's winning that one?
Yeah, look, that's at the opposite side of the field, right? Right winger for France going up against a left back for Spain. I actually give the edge to Cucurella on this one. I think Cucurella is the kind of player You give him a task, he goes and does it, right? And I think Dembélé, for as wonderful as he's been in this World Cup and throughout the season, I think he's going to have difficulty against Cucurella today. I see more other players in that French team having to make a difference. Obviously, Mbappé being at the focal point, but Olise and potentially Barcola or Doué on the opposite side. I think Cucurella is going to handle that side of the field.
Can I give a coach a good question? So when Dembélé comes inside, if you're respectively Cucurella, do you go with him? Do you go fully man for man like a Bielsa, or do you push him on and create overloads with him and Olise in the middle?
I think he's probably pushing him on. Cucurella is very vocal, right? He'll talk and he will signal to players when he needs somebody to cover for him or connect inside. I don't think he's going to be, chaperoning Dembélé all over the field, because it's the same thing that we talked about with Lamine Yamal. You start doing that and you open up space for somebody else, even if it's Koundé coming up the field, right? He's going to have services. So I don't think he can leave his zone, but I think the conversation and they'll be vocal and be able to pass players on.
This is a little bit more interesting than the other matchup we just talked about, because you got a guy in Digne that will get forward, but he's judicious about the way he gets forward, right? Cucurella just wants to get forward and get in the box, right? And now you start to wonder, okay, I love getting forward, but I also got a Ballon d'Or winner that's sitting behind me who's really not going to track me back all the way to the end line. So I might find a little bit of space, right? I might find some opportunities, but one of my responsibilities is 40 yards away from me, right? And that kind of cat and mouse game of, I wonder if it comes down to possession, which then in my brain leads to a little bit more in favor of Spain, or does it come down to transition moments where Cucurella gets caught forward, which then leads me to, okay, this sets up nicely for France, right? So this side of the field for me has a little bit more cat and mouse in it than maybe the other one seems. Yamal against Digne seems more of an attacker against a defender, right? More or less. I know Digne likes to get forward a little bit, but not nearly as much as like Theo Hernandez, which then makes me think, okay, do they change that part of the game, France, and maybe go with somebody different? So those are the things, right, that managers go through.
And I'm so happy that Tony's opened this can of worms, because for me, when I watch a game of football, sometimes, majority of the time, especially these high-level games, I actually like to watch them by myself so we can watch those battles, because people don't realise sometimes what's happening in the game within the game. And when a fullback wants to go, he automatically, his first instinct, especially as someone like Cucurella, I'm going to want to go. I want to help attack. I want to create overloads. I want to turn around and create possession for my team. But when you know that you have a threat of that speed, that transition, you don't necessarily want to leave your defence 3v3. So it's going to make those smaller battles, those times when you see Cucurella usually in the opposition box. I don't know how often we're going to see that today, because I think he's going to have to be wary at some point. I can't leave these guys 3v3 with Mbappé, Doué, and Dembélé 1v1. No, that doesn't sound very good. No. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success.
But do you see Cucurella sitting back?
That's the problem.
The guy loves to get
It's
forward,
the discipline element of it. And I'm interested to see, especially how De La Fuente does in terms of managing that, because that's going to be super important.
Yeah, it's going to be very entertaining. On to our final matchup, though, Tony. Rodri versus Olise. Do you think this will be the matchup? This matchup will dictate who's going to win this game?
Yeah, see, the thing with Olise is he finds the game, right? So he lines up as a 10, but he goes and finds the game. I just wonder how much they'll be matched up together, right? They look good on paper, right, because of the positions that they play. But Olise will run in the right channel. He'll run in the left channel. He'll stay underneath. And he does all of that stuff, right? And he plays off of Mbappé, right, who also will run in either of the two channels, right? Olise will take his spot for a couple seconds. So I don't know if it's as much of a matchup. If you're telling me that Olise is going to have the ball and he's going to have opportunity after opportunity to dribble at Rodri, yeah, look, Rodri, he positionally, he's really, really good. We've seen moments where he can win any tackle in the game. But eventually, I think Olise, if it's just those two, will beat him on the dribble someplace, right? And we'll find a splitting pass. So I don't know if it's the matchup that we think 1-for-1. Maybe when they get in the same areas, Rodri clearly is going to have to be really good, because Olise, even though there isn't goals in this competition for him, right, it's about making plays all over the field, right, and splitting passes and assists. So I think that probably is more the key.
I don't think they will be actually in the same. I mean, naturally they're going to be in the same areas quite often, but I don't see it's Olise versus Rodri. I think Rodri's got enough to contend with in the France midfield. in terms of where his attention is going to be, because he's probably going to play higher. He's going to want to dictate the game. He's going to want to be in the faces of Rabiot and Tchouaméni and getting those balls and recycling them as quick as possible. I actually think Olise is going to play a lot further forward than people give him credit for, and it probably will fall on maybe a Cubarsí having to step out, or someone else from the defence having to step out, and them trying to squeeze and become a 3, because I don't see Rodri sticking around Olise, because then you're leaving one midfielder, whether it's Pedro or whoever else, against those lot. No, that doesn't make any sense.
Those two players, you won't see the same kind of connection as we've talked about with like a Lamine Yamal and a Lucas Digne and a Cucurella and a Dembélé. You're not going to see that kind of interaction, but I do think that if Rodri has a bad game, Olise is going to benefit from that. If Rodri isn't good in possession and isn't in good spots defensively when they turn the ball over and clean and making sure that the passes that he gives to other guys also lead to next passes, because if there's mistakes being made, and there was a couple of mistakes in the Belgium game that were uncharacteristic, if Olise is in that game and he's picking up those balls in spaces like you're talking about, Rodri isn't going to defend him. He's not going to be able to go and tackle him, right? So it is critical that I think in possession, Rodri is perfect. Yeah. If he's not perfect, Olise is going to counter that, and he's going to be very dangerous.
If we look at the two head coaches, Deschamps and De La Fuente, Tony, who would you want in your dugout leading the way?
Both? Can you have both?
Turn off the internet. I would think, for me, I just have to give the edge to Deschamps, right? The guy's been here. He's won this competition. I love what De La Fuente's done. He's also won a European competition. This is the World Cup, and I still think France is the slight favorite in this one. So I just flipped my coin in my head, and I went Deschamps.
I mean, I'm going to go with the guy who's both won it as a player and a coach. I think when you've touched it in a number of different ways and you understand the magnitude, Didier Deschamps is one of the best managers in his generation, period. Like, I put him in the same echelons as a Pep, as a Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm talking like you are one of the best of your generation. He's phenomenal. And his management of these, I would say, egos, and I mean that respectfully, it says to me a lot about how he must be day to day. So, yeah.
That's what I was going to touch on right there. I think he has the better roster. He has the better team, the likelier team to advance. So I think Deschamps done it really well. But the egos are huge, right? Some coaches say, I'd rather have lesser of a team, less ego, so that I can coach better. You see Mbappé in Real Madrid, it's not so easy. He makes it look easy, right? He's praising him as he comes off the field, and yet everybody's happy that happens in that way. So it's phenomenal what he's been able to do, and so, yeah, I'd pick him as well, at least for now. But Luis de la Fuente is starting to do some impressive things.
That's because tomorrow, Hannah.
Yeah, I'll ask you tomorrow. Deschamps has said it's his last World Cup. He's going into his 25th game in charge of this French side. That's a World Cup record.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.